What's going on, everyone? Jim Laird joining you live from Diriomo, Nicaragua, just outside Granada, south of Messiah. And we are just getting Instagram started up. Oops. Oopsie. Need to turn that volume off. Sorry about that. So, I hope you're doing well today. I'm just going to open up my Instagram so I can see if there's any questions on the phone while I'm doing this. So, my Instagram. Man, I dropped the ball on that one. Really, this is going to be a short one today. I wanted to stay in the habit of trying to do one of these every single day. This morning, I had our webinar we do on Thursdays at 10 a.m. with Dr. Stillman. And then after that, we had a Q&A in our VIP membership, or what was former known as Fundamentals of Wellness with Coaching. Had two great calls. And this topic kind of comes from that webinar we did. You can join our membership to get access to all those recordings. Stillmanwellness.com. It's like $1 a day. We'd love your support. But the ultimate guide to success and happiness secrets revealed. Obviously, this is clickbait. This is clickbait, total clickbait. I'll admit it. And I'm going to give you some things to think about. Okay. One, not everyone can be captain of the football team, right? There's one captain of the football team. And I think if you look at, and what is success? Okay. Our society gives us they show us like Michael Jordan, they show us like the top of the food chain, they show us Ronaldo, they show us all these different people, right? Rock bands, people that are very successful. And many of them wash out. Many of them are drug addicts. Many of them end up shooting themselves. They have all the material things you could possibly imagine. Because you're told, if you chase these things, you're going to be happy, right? The first mistake people make, and I made this plenty of times, is that you think happiness is a destination. It's not. If I just had a cute girlfriend that really liked me, or if I squat 1,000 pounds, or if I bench 500 pounds, or if I own a certain car, or I make a certain amount of money, I'm going to be happy. People confuse happiness with being content. Okay. Not everyone could be the star quarterback. The star quarterback can't be successful without his offensive line, without the position players. And that's one of the things that sports teaches you is if you're an offensive lineman, being content with being an offensive lineman, but being the best offensive lineman you can be, but knowing you're never going to be the star quarterback, which is totally fine. But the star quarterback knows he can't succeed without you. Right? Not everybody can be the CEO of a company. Not everyone can be the business owner. That doesn't mean that the janitor can't show up and do his job and be content and he'll experience happiness. He's not going to be happy all the time. Happiness is not a destination. It's an experience. It's something you experience. So you live life, you go through the process of life, and you're going to experience happiness along the way. Right? We've been sold, well, if you just lose 10 pounds, you'll be happy. Well, you might experience happiness on your way to losing 10 pounds, and you might lose 10 pounds, and you might be able to fit into a dress, and somebody might compliment you when you're out at dinner, and it kind of scratches your ego, and you go, oh, wow, I feel so great. I'm so happy. But then the next morning, you're like, yeah, I lost 10 pounds, but I still have this little bit of cellulite, back here somewhere. I've had that happen. Women drop 2 clothing sizes, and then instead of being, excited about what's happened to them, they're automatically looking for all the flaws in the mirror. It's just kind of human nature, right? So you've got this battle of okay, for me anyways, I am content living in a third world country because I want to live a simpler life. I want to not have to work so hard to have a certain standard of living. I get to do things here, like have a housekeeper, have a cook. I get to live a certain way that I would have to be working way harder than I am right now in order to achieve this in the United States. So I moved myself to a situation where I could have a higher standard of living with less work because I want to enjoy myself. I work hard. Don't get me wrong. I do a lot of work behind the scenes. I'm coaching people. I've got a mentoring call here in 15 minutes. But in order to maintain the lifestyle I have right now in the US, just having a full-time like assistant per day is going to cost you multiple hundreds of dollars just for that, right? And then to live in a really nice house costs an insane amount of money. So that's a choice that I made, and I'm very content with coaching people and helping people. I don't care if I'm, picking up trash as long as I get to help other people and positively affect people in a way that that I get to make a difference in people's lives. That fulfills me, that gives me a feeling of purpose and satisfaction, right? And I understand that I'm not going to wake up every morning and be like happy, happy, joy, joy. I think one of the things that taking faith out of and teaching people that there's nothing really beyond when you die, it's all there is to it. It's basically you come into the world, you take whatever you can, you do as much as you can, and and then you take everything you can before you get out. You experience as much pleasure, you make as much money as possible. Well, Solomon said that, vanity, vanity, vanity. If Solomon had every woman he set his eyes on, was the richest man in the world at the time, and he said it's all in vain. There's never, you're still going to feel empty after all of this stuff. And you look at like Job in the Old Testament, and I know I'm going biblical on you, but Job, he had everything and he still praised the Lord, and everything was taken from him and he still praised the Lord, right? So I think a lot of people get so caught up in the fact that, particularly people that like with me struggling with my health, the health issues that I went through made me a better person. And if I wouldn't have gone through those health issues and had to struggle through them, one, I wouldn't be able to help as many people as I have. And two, I wouldn't have slayed some of the demons that I had spinning around inside my heart and my soul. Um, and then I wouldn't have discovered what truly makes me content, right? If I just would have plugged along and not had these challenges. A lot of these times, these challenges are put in our lives for a reason, right? And that's where faith comes in, and that's where having, this alternate perspective. I've worked with a lot of people with disabilities, with severe things, severe illnesses, where, people that are older that have serious joint issues, that have serious health problems, and their goal is not to be David Goggins or do, impressive set world records, which those are great as well. That's totally fine if that's what you want to do, but it's going to cost you in a certain way. Their goal is just to play with their kids on the floor. And that goal is totally realistic. And once they get there, they're so joyful and so happy, right? But we don't talk about things like that. We don't talk about these simple goals. We get all these people, these high level athletes, these high achievers. They're put in front of us on a pedestal, and people are brainwashed that that's what's going to make them happy when those people themselves are not happy. I've been around some of the richest people on earth, and they're miserable. And there's some of them that are joyful. Some of them have great joy and giving away and being generous and have good perspective. Very few. Most of them, they then become power hungry, right? Whereas you come here, people are herding cows down the road, happy as can be, super content. There's the one story I heard about some, American businessman that was on vacation in Mexico or wherever, and he saw this fisherman on the beach. And I'm probably going to brutalize this, but he saw this fisherman on the beach, and the fisherman caught these fish, and he came in, and the fisherman's like, or the businessman's like, how much for this? And so the fisherman, sold him some fish, and then the fisherman, he asked the fisherman like what his day was like and what he does, and he goes, well, I basically go out, I fish enough to sell one, feed my family, and then give one away, and then I spend the rest of the day with my family, and I just play my guitar on the beach. And the businessman's like, well, no, man, we got it. This fish is so good. We need to build we need you to fish more, and then we'll build a plant, and we'll hire people to fish for you, and you do all these things, and then basically once you get this business built and you do all this stuff, you'll be able to he goes back in a circle because the guy's already got what he wants, which is spend time with his family and just have enough to be comfortable. This guy was like, we need to automate this. We need to build a company so you can, spend more time with your family. And he's already doing what he wanted. He's just like, people think they have to work more, they have to do more in order to get what they might already have and be content with, if that makes sense. But I probably butchered that story. But I just wanted you to think about this in a different way. One, understanding that happiness is not a destination. It's something you experience, and it's going to come and go. And that's okay. And that's normal, right? Just like light and darkness. Light has to come, dark has to come. There has to be both, right? If it was light all the time, everything would just shrivel up and die. If it was dark all the time, everything would shrivel up and die. If you were happy all the time, you'd be miserable. If you were depressed all the time, you'd be miserable. There has to be a little bit of what we call friction there, right? And then understanding who you are, what you're capable of, and are my goals actually sustainable and reasonable, right? I play offensive line for whatever team. I'm never going to be the quarterback. And I'm okay with that, right? You go to the gym, you work out, but you're never going to be Cindy Crawford, or you're never going to be whatever supermodel. Nothing wrong with that. Be the best version of yourself, right? What kind of resources do you have to be comfortable and be happy where you're at? These are things that people don't think about, right? They look at social media, they look at society to deem what's valuable, and everything society is pushing right now, it doesn't end well for most people. So the ultimate guide to success and happiness is figure out what makes you be peaceful and content, and understand when you want to go beyond that, it's going to take sacrifice. There's going to be trade-offs. There's going to be extra, like the amount of work Michael Jordan did, the amount of work Tiger Woods, all these high-level Gretzky, all these high-level achievers, they sacrifice so much practicing for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And a lot of people are doing it for hobbies like powerlifting. I used to compete in a sport where you had to pay to be in it. I was destroying my body and I was paying to do it. So a lot of these professional athletes who are cripples after they're done, at least they have some financial means and they can, have something to show for it. There's a lot of people that are destroying their bodies for free, essentially, and they're not getting any compensation. And if that's what floats your boat, then go for it. And that's what we do a lot with working with Dr. Stillman, is getting people to figure out, right, what do I truly want, right? Do I want to feel good? Do I want to look good? Do I want to chase performance? Am I willing to accept the consequences of chasing performance? Do I want to chase being ultra successful, rich, have a big successful business? There's consequences that come with that. And understanding that there's seasons in life. There's going to be a period of time in life where you're young, you bust your ass, you work really hard, and then there's going to be seasons where you're going to back off. So this is all a constant moving, flowing thing, right? Like, what's my purpose? How do I help other people? These are all worldview things that you have to deal with, like, as opposed to like the modern, let's just make as much money as we can and buy as many things as we can and consume as much as we can and we'll be happy. No, then most of those people end up miserable. So the big points I would want you to get from this is, like, one, happiness is not a destination. It's a feeling that you experience, and just enjoy it while it's there. And while it's gone, get used to enjoying the process, which leads to the occasional happiness. And then figure out who you are, what your role is, what you're trying to accomplish, and what you can live with, and be content with. And then if you do want to push to be exceptional, one, do you have the gifts and the genetics for that to even be a possibility? And two, are you willing to sacrifice what's needed to achieve that? And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is a lot of these people that have these desires to drive themselves to high levels of performance. A lot of it is they really don't like themselves. They really don't have a good relationship with themselves, and they have to, push themselves and drive themselves to a certain level, almost as a coping mechanism. And if you reach your goal, are you actually going to be satisfied? Are you actually going to be content? Or do you have to do more and more and more, which is fine. Like people that win multiple championships, the drive to be the best athlete in the world, the drive to win multiple gold medals, that's exceptional stuff, right? But it takes immense amount of sacrifice. And is it worth it? Only you can answer those questions. And if you're put in a situation where you aren't the guy, the captain of the football team, you're an offensive lineman, maybe you're the team manager on a college football team, and you're washing the laundry, or you're picking up the equipment, you're cleaning up after the guys at the end of the game. Are you going to be able to be the best version of that? Are you going to put your best foot forward? Or are you going to be looking at the people that are in what society is deemed as high levels of power, high levels of position? Are you going to be jealous, or are you going to look at them and go, hey, that's great that they can do that? I'm going to do my job to the best of my ability, as an offensive lineman or as a coach or whatever. I'm going to do my role and play my part. Or am I going to be miserable because I can't be the star? I'm not the lead actor. I'm only an extra, or I'm the guy holding the microphone, right? And guess what? If you do want to go to the top of the mountain, you're gonna have to shovel some shit to grow some flowers, because you just can't step into most situations. Like Michael Jordan, how many years did he get the crap beat out of him by the Pistons? And he couldn't do it on his own. He had to have Rodman, Pippen. He had to have some other cast of characters to help him. He needed more teammates to get him, to push him over the edge, right? The greatest basketball player in history, as far as I'm concerned, couldn't win it on his own. He needed a team, right? So there's a few things for you to talk about. I wanted to talk about this because you don't really hear anybody talking about stuff like this, right? I mean, if you make, I can't remember what the percentage is. If you make over $30,000 a year, you're like in the top 1% in the world, like maybe even crazier than that. Like, it's really, unless you've traveled in like the third world countries and different places in the world, you don't understand. Most Westerners have no idea how good they have it. So have yourself a great day. Make sure you get outside. We'd love your support. Jump in on our Awful Wellness membership. It's $1 a day. We'd love to see you on the coaching calls. You'll get access to all the recordings from our Thursday lives and our Thursday live webinars, where we get into discussions, stuff like this. And have yourself a great day. I'm hoping to be here tomorrow. I'm going to be traveling tomorrow. I'm going to be going back. I'm going to be going to Playa San Diego, which is a beach. Got some things I need to take care of, and traveling tomorrow. So I should have internet access, and I should be able to get on and do one of these when I get there. And I look forward to seeing you. If not, have a great weekend.